playing for y'all? It's not playing for me.
Mm-mm. That's okay. Let's do our own drums. Brrr.
Yeah, we don't have any sound, Lizette. I don't know what happened to the sound.
It's
Hmm.
our moment of silence.
Oh well, it's a silent video this morning. There it
There she is, just in time. Oh, welcome everybody to the Daily Huddle on Tuesdays, where we talk about everything related to relationships and communication, which is something that Tara and I are both passionate about. And I'm excited because I'm in for a treat today because we have a guest, Moniek James, and we are going to talk about women leading boldly. Favorite topic, vulnerability.
Yeah,
So, Tara, tell
yeah,
us who
that's our
Monique is.
favorite
I can't
topic.
wait to meet her.
I am so excited too. So I just want to give a little bit of background. I met Monique as an audience member, as a beneficiary of her beautiful work. So I went into a setting where she was teaching a workshop about marketing. And for those of you who know me, I help people to present and to offer speeches. That's part of the work that I do. And so I kind of, I don't look at it really with a critical eye, but more of an analytical eye, like looking where someone has really talent and where they maybe could improve. I'm always just paying attention to people's ability to present and connect with an audience. And I am telling y'all, hands down, no doubt about it, this lady set the room on fire. So authentic, so connected to people, so relevant, cool stories. I mean, she had it all. So as she knows, I said, I've got to know this woman. And so I've got to know her just a little bit. And in addition to her marketing prowess, she also is a confidence coach. And so we thought it might be fun to talk about that. So let me tell you a little bit about Moniek, and then she's going to tell us a little bit about her backstory and what she's up to right now. Moniek, also known as Mo James, is a confidence coach and the founder of Confidence Coaching for Her, a transformative community and media platform dedicated to empowering women. With a rich background as a veteran and military spouse, Mo harnesses her diverse experiences to activate, one of my favorite words, the audacity in women to stop beyond self-imposed limitations and embrace their full potential. So now I know that y'all want to know her just like I do. Her mission is to inspire women to design their lives as masterpieces of their own making, reflecting their true brilliance. So, good morning, Moniek James, and welcome to the Daily Huddle.
Hello, I'm excited to be here with y'all. So glad to see your face again, Tara.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. So, this sounds like such a rich, rewarding, amazing organization that you're building. And so, I would love to know a little bit about the background and how you were inspired to start this organization that empowers women.
How much time you got? Okay, no, seriously. So, I started the brand didn't start as confidence coaching. It started as a hobby blog, something I was doing to kind of fill the time, because when you're a mom, and at the time my husband was deployed, I had gotten out of the army, my husband was overseas. I was in graduate school. I felt like I didn't have enough to do.
Mhm.
So I started a blog. And the blog was about just kind of the questions I was learning to ask myself as I was transitioning my hair from being chemically processed to its natural state. And so
Oh,
it's a physical or an external transition, but it's also an internal transition. And so I just started documenting what I was going through, and that blog turned into opportunities to host events where women came together and we talked about hair, but we started talking about everything else. And I just started to realize, oh, there's more to this conversation. There's so much more to this conversation. And there is so much similarity between women across racial, ethnic, cultural groups. And finding the commonality was the self-discovery, confidence, and how that showed up in our internal lives and in our relationships and in our external lives. That's how the brand was born.
mhm. What I mean, why confidence? Why'd you land on confidence?
I realized that a lot of the challenges, a lot of the struggles, the conflicts that the women who I was dealing with was having, what they were experiencing, the common thread was struggling with the confidence. I recognized that as women, like women kind of go through two levels of indoctrination. I'm gonna use that word just to be controversial. Like there is the family that we grew up in that trained us or that conditioned us to show up in certain ways. I am an oldest daughter, and for any oldest daughter who is watching this, like, I see you, friend. We are in this together. So there's a whole level of conditioning to be nice and to let people go first and to always look to the other person and not to trust yourself. All of those things that happens in our families. And then culturally, society, there is a programming of women as well. And so when we hear women talk about, uh, you know, um, struggling to speak up for themselves at work, trying to figure out how to navigate relationships, their romantic relationships, relationships with their children, relationships with their friends, how to figure out how to get to a point in their lives and really start to ask themselves, well, what do I like? Who am I? What do I want to do with myself? All of those things, the common thread is confidence. Because for me, confidence is built on three things. It doesn't look the same way for everybody, but it comes from three areas of focus and intention. And that is autonomy, really an acceptance and an ownership of yourself,
Okay.
warts and all. Like you can't tell me anything about me because I already know me and I'm good with me. And the second phase is courage. The second element is courage. It's recognizing and hearing the voice of fear, but then choosing not to listen to that voice, seeking adventure and doing those new things that really stretch us and allow us to discover ourselves in new ways. And then the last piece is expression or self-expression. And that could look like changing our hair, changing how we dress, boundaries, like all of those things that allow us to display who we are inside through our contact with other people. So when you think about those three elements making up confidence, I started to see how a conversation about, struggling to advocate for, yourself at work and having a difficult conversation with a family member about not wanting to show up in a specific way anymore or not being boxed in, all of those things led back to the confidence conversation.
Wow. I love how you've organized this into three buckets and they all really speak to me. I do want to share this. I love the word confidence, especially lately, and I'll tell you why. When I was growing up, my mother said all she wanted in this life was to raise three confident children. It was so important to her because she did not feel like she had confidence. It was like her sole focus. And I think as time has gone by, we've forgotten the importance of the word and what it means to be confident. And I also think, and I'd love to hear your take on this, I think we get it confused with arrogance. And so,
Yes.
have you ever seen where someone comes over as really confident, but then once you get to know them, if they allow you to peel back their onion a little bit, all that is maybe the opposite? Tell me your take on that.
I agree 100%. And that's why I started my comment earlier saying that it doesn't look the same on everybody because that stereotypical impression is the person who's the loudest in the room, the person who's the life of the party or whatever, not realizing that a lot of that behavior is a cover for fear.
Mhm.
That's what, the arrogance, the whatever, the taking up all of the space in the room is fear. And so overcompensating for that looks a certain way that can definitely be misconstrued, I
Mhm.
think, because the conversation about confidence hasn't been had in the way we're talking about it. The how it shows up from, a place of grounding and self-trust. We we expect it to look a certain way because we've been trained to identify certain behaviors as confidence. And so, yeah, it definitely, for me, alarm bells start to go off, when I'm start to look like, what's going on there? And really wanted to ask more questions and dig deeper and get to like the core or the truth, the authenticity, the vulnerability of what's underneath that behavior that you identify. And a lot of times it's really fear.
Yes. I like how you really have aligned the two words lack of confidence and fear to me. Like the opposite of confidence is not necessarily insecurity as where the insecurity coming from. And you're saying fear. Folks that do come over with that super kind of aggressive, almost arrogant personality, I tend to migrate to those people. And I'll tell you why that is I think that people that have that type of energy about them are so craving compliments and affirmation, but people they think so highly of themselves that they don't need it. So they get less than anybody. And when I meet people like that, I like to shower them with authentic compliments and love. And it always makes for a friendship. It always does.
So good.
Yeah.
That's so
So
good.
tell
It because
me.
it's really, I was going to say, it introduces them to a different way that they can be.
Mhm.
If the need or the want is for, the validation, and they're not getting it. And so they overcompensate by doing more of what they have been doing to encounter somebody like you who will offer something that speaks to the truth of,
Yes.
of who they are. I think that starts to plant the seed like, huh, maybe I don't have to perform. Maybe I
Right.
can just
Perfect word.
be myself. So that's beautiful.
Yeah. Aw. I'd love to know. I want to dig a little bit deeper. I mean, we could this conversation, I bet, could go for an hour, but we won't do that. I'd like to know a little bit more about two things. One is, do we really need to know where our lack of confidence comes from in order to overcome it? Do you believe that? So I'll start with that, and then I have
Mhm.
a second question.
I don't believe, I believe some people, yes, I am one of those people. I am one of those people. I need to know, okay, what's at the bottom? What is the root? What is the origin? Because once I know what the origin is, I can dedicate my efforts there to solving it or to addressing it. I'll use that word. But I don't think that's the truth for everybody. I think
Okay.
some people just kind of being aware that, oh, there is this. I don't need to know where it came from. I just want to address it from this level. So, yeah, I think for people like me, we need the complete answer
Sure.
so we can solve the problem in a different way.
Yeah, I wonder if there's some universal contributors, especially to women, but to all of us, for when we show up insecure. Like you mentioned, and I think this is certainly true for my generation. And I'm paraphrasing, but you mentioned, that we were raised to just, kind of put a smile on your face, take care of people. I perceive that to mean like, don't ever complain. Things could be worse. Like that hurts my heart. I used to think that way. Like, don't complain. Be happy with what you have. Shut up and eat your broccoli kind of mindset. Um, and I wonder if that contributes to our lack of confidence.
Yeah, I think because it doesn't allow space for what we're really feeling.
Mhm.
It's kind of like a bypassing. If this is where I am today. Yesterday I was at a 10, today I'm at a 2. Oh no, it's fine. It could be worse. Like it doesn't, sometimes it matters to be able to sit in the thing or tell the truth about the thing or acknowledge the thing, give it voice so that we can transition to the resilience, which sometimes I struggle with that word too, the overcoming of the thing. But yeah, I think that does contribute. I think for some people that is a contributing factor. It doesn't allow space to like really just be honest about where we are, how we're feeling, what happened, so that we can kind of carve our path or empower ourselves to heal from it or to recover from it in a way that is aligned with who we are.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess, and rather than doing that, a lot of times we shame ourselves. Why can't I get over this? I shouldn't be, I shouldn't feel sorry for myself. And I think that to acknowledge those things allows them to flow through us. So, share with us some winning stories. So we've identified that we could all grow our confidence. So how do we do that?
Oh, saying yes to the new, unfamiliar, scary thing. I think about when I was like early in my Army career, or I was probably 19, 20 years old. And first of all, the fact that I enlisted in the military and like just left was a whole thing in and of itself because my entire time in high school, the military was never on my agenda. That was a decision that I made really out of desperation, like just wanting to change my situation, change my station in life. And so the fact that I kind of just came home and told my parents, well, so yeah, I've enlisted and I leave on this day and I don't plan to come back home to live. Like that was a whole thing in and of itself. But one story that kind of just jumps out at me, that's all that I tell often is so I was enlisted Army, but I had an opportunity to be stationed and to live around the other services. So this particular time I was stationed on an Air Force base, and that Air Force base had a Marine Corps obstacle course on
Okay.
it. And we won this particular morning for PT, that was going to be our physical training, was to go through the obstacle course. And so I remember being marched over there and seeing this thing with all of these ropes and things to climb and things to fall off. And I am not the outdoorsy, I'm still not with the nature like that. So just walking over there and thinking, what have you gotten yourself into? These people expect you to do this. Like, this is not who you are. Get
Oh,
over there, get over there. And they split us up, you know, the men in one line, women in one line. And of course, there's maybe 7 women. And I'm the first woman in line. And we have to run through these obstacles. We got to run up a pole and not lose balance and fall off. We've got
oh,
to climb this or crawl under that and get just all the worst possible obstacle course you can imagine. That's what this was. And so I have to go first. And I don't really have a choice. In this instance, I didn't, well, I won't say that. I could have chosen to not do it and dealt with other consequences. But in
exactly.
that moment, I realized, well, I'm just going to go through this thing. And so I get through the first maybe 3 to 5 obstacles and was like, oh, I, okay, then maybe I know what I'm doing. And get to, maybe the second, third, the last obstacle was the rope, climb up the rope 25, 50 feet in the air. So get to the wall and I'm running. I, fell off the previous obstacle and the wall is there and you have to climb up the wall with no visible anything to hang on to climb up. So I tell myself, okay, if I get a good enough running start, maybe I can jump and grab the top and climb over. I'm 5'2 3/4".
Ooh.
So I get my running start, get to the wall, did not have the momentum that I imagined, and essentially smacked my face right into the wall.
Oh.
Fell backwards. The drill sergeants are like, oh my God. Like there's a whole bunch of screaming and everything going on. And I think, is this
So
over?
mortifying.
Is it is it done? Am I done? And so the drill sergeant is like, you better get up and you better get. I have this person like screaming, telling me, essentially motivating me, but in a way that is very, you better do this. And so I decide, okay, I'm going to try it again. I go back to the previous one, start again, run, grab on a piece of splinter of a wood, propel myself over the wall, get through the next few obstacles, get to the rope, climb up, and I get up about halfway.
Mhm.
So I'm probably about 15 feet in the air. And my arms just like are like, okay, no, we're done. You've done enough. We are finished. And so I come down, walk back through the line. The rest of the I ended up being the getting the farthest along from the women in the obstacle course. But I remember they're marching us back to the barracks and I'm dirty, like bloodied, like lost a fingernail, scratched up, all these things. But I thought, wow, you just did that. You just surprised yourself. Forget the fact that, the people were like, oh, you did great, blah, blah, blah. Like you surprised yourself. That is a mark for me. That is a Red Sea parting moment for me where I can always go back and say, you know what? If you being pulled out of your familiar territory, thrown into this military lifestyle, thrown into this
Mhm.
experience with this obstacle course, and figure out how to overcome those things, then whatever problem you are dealing with right now, you can figure it out. And so that for me is an example of what it looks like to choose courage in the face of something unfamiliar, something you have never done before, something as you're walking into it, you are doubting yourself 100%. And just to be willing to say, well, here I am. I'm going to go for it anyway and just see what happens. That moment will live with me forever because it was such a transformative it allowed me to see myself differently. From
Okay.
that moment on, I started to see Private James as a different person. And I just continued to build on that self-discovery as I've gone through life.
Wow. So, um, is that a strategy, if I'm hearing you right, that you help other people uncover is to look back in their lives and see when, against all odds, they face something extremely challenging or difficult and here they stand?
Yeah, I think it's, because my work is with women,
Mhm.
I think as we get older, at least in my experience, as we get older, the stakes get higher. And when the stakes are higher, the hesitation, the apprehension, the self-doubt, those voices get louder because we feel like there is more to lose. And so sometimes it's helpful to remember the last hard thing that you said yes to and you figured it out, just so you have receipts, you have proof to yourself, you have a
I like
reminder for yourself that, yeah, if I figured it out then, I can figure it out now too.
I like that. You have receipts. I'll remember that. It makes it feel very tangible. Like I've got the spreadsheet, baby, of what I can do. I definitely want
Exactly,
to invite
exactly.
Catherine and some others into our conversation. But before I do that, if you could, we might have more time, but I don't want to miss the chance to ask you this. If you could offer one single tip to women to elevate their confidence and belief in themselves, what do you think that would be? Or to
One
everyone?
tip. Oh, trust, trust the voice, like the voice that's way deep in the back corner of your mind, of your heart. Trust that voice.
Mm,
That's probably your truest voice, and it just hasn't been given the room to be loud or to be present or to be in the front. So look to that voice.
I love that. And it just lets you want to be your authentic self. And you know what? We're not for everybody. And so if it turns some
Right.
people off, that's okay too, isn't it? Catherine, please join us and let us know what's coming up for you through this conversation with Moniek James.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Thank you for all of this. I guess my question is like, you said some days you're a two, some days you're a 10. How do you deal with that? Like like when I'm having a great day, it's great, right? Like I do feel confident. So how do you manage when you just get knocked down or you're not feeling the greatest?
I don't let either day like move me.
Hmm.
I think sometimes we give a lot of weight to we give all the weight and all the credit when everything is great.
Hmm.
And we don't really give any weight, or we struggle with giving weight to the days where it's not so good. Like, both happen, and both will change. And so for me, it's just like, okay, that was good. I'm not going to, as the kids say, get gassed up by that. And this was not so great. I'm not going to let this change me either.
Mm.
Like, it's
Hmm.
just it's just what is,
Hmm.
and it's going to change. And so I'm just going to focus on that was horrible. That was great. Both can exist. Both will happen again. And I'm just figuring it out and just taking it day by day.
I love that. I love that because it's an evenness of spirit. And also it kind of lends
Yeah.
more to the confidence that the confidence isn't really about having a 10 day, it doesn't wane. It just sort of you are the same. So I love that. Very, very zen,
Mhm.
and I love that it will pass because a lot of times I think I forget that. It's like it's always going to be this way. So that's really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, I love that. It's a little bit kind of Buddhist Zen mindset, which I always I lean into that mentality myself. However, I've never been able to master what you're talking about. And part of me thinks that's just not me to not let the highs and the lows really affect me much. They just do.
Yeah, I
And
don't, well, I don't think we get to mastery. I think the journey is the mastery. Like, it's just a constant reminder, like, oh yeah, remember, this is how we said we're handling these. It's like a pep talk with yourself. Like, I
yeah,
think just to be human is to, have that very real, uh, get caught up in the pendulum swinging and then having to make a choice to bring ourselves back to center. And that's what the mastery comes from, like the wrestling with it, and the, fiddling around and flipping it over. That's the journey.
yeah, like the kneading it like bread. I do, if anyone has any questions, certainly pop your hand up or come on the camera. But while we're waiting for that, I do want to know what it means to work with you. So let's just say someone watches this on YouTube and they're like, wow, I really could use a shot of confidence. What does a working relationship with you look like?
So now, in this season of my brand, a relationship with me looks like being a part of our community, where it's called Glow Circle, where I am teaching live twice a month, either teaching a topic, taking questions, and facilitating like group coaching,
Mhm.
and resources that are already available, workbooks, video trainings, activities. I'm big on kind of being active with information, taking it in, but then doing something with it so that it has a chance to kind of cement itself, or you get to start the process of building the habit. So that's how we work. I'm now more of a one-to-many, where we're just facilitating those conversations and allowing members to hear from other people. I
Yeah.
think for a lot of us, we need to know that there are other people on the journey too. There are other people wrestling with the same questions, discovering different things, figuring things out for themselves. That was a transition that I made in the brand in the last year or so, uh, because I realized the community piece was so necessary.
I love hearing that. As a matter of fact, Catherine and I have experienced the same thing with Fem Forward, our female organization. That, I think in the beginning it was probably more me than her, but I felt like I had to show up with solutions and answers. And I still feel like that to a point. I want to do some research and give back something that I've uncovered or experienced. But the power in the room was women saying, "Wow, I'm not alone in these feelings and insecurities." I kind of see, we're about at closing time, but I kind of see that we all have areas where we lack in confidence. It's not like I'm confident or I'm not. Do you see that? Like it's kind of like a pendulum or a spectrum.
Yes, it's a spectrum is the word I use.
Mhm.
Because I think too sometimes if it were flipping the switch on or flipping the switch off, that's not empowering. That doesn't feel good to just kind of feel like, oh, well, my switch is off, so I guess I will never get to where I'm trying to get to. But it is a spectrum, and it's in that process of, really evaluating ourselves and our lives in those different areas. That's where people get to see, oh, I am doing this, or I do show up in this way, and I do practice confidence in this way. Confidence is a habit for me in this area of my life. And sometimes that's enough, to build that momentum to be willing to go through the process of kind of self-discovery, asking those uncomfortable questions and wrestling with new things to get to the confidence in the other areas that they're looking to.
Well, I would like to thank you on behalf of all women for doing the work for us and leading the way. This has been an absolute delight, and I'm just so excited to know you and get to know you better. It is in the show notes how to reach you, but if you'll just tell us so people that are listening will know how they can reach Moniek James, and then I'll give us a closeout.
So the website, confidencecoachingforher.com. Everything is there. The Global Circle membership is there. Blog is there. Other free resources. We have a free training, a free video course, 3 Secrets to Activate Your Personal Power. That's there. And the community, of course, online on social. We're all over the place, the channels, the social media channels. TikTok is where I'm having a lot of fun lately. The conversations
Oh,
there are interesting. I it's, I think having a conversation like this where you're the guest, you get positioned as the expert and having all of the answers. And I
mhm.
think for me, it has been really interesting and beautiful to be in spaces where I'm hearing new information and just like, wow, I didn't consider that, or oh, that's interesting. And TikTok has been a space for me where I have been able to be in conversation with people and receive uh as they share their stories. Oh, just new lights are coming on.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful space to be in. So yeah, I'm having fun.
Thank you for that reminder. We don't ever arrive, and I love that you just keep learning. I just love that and keep growing. It's something that Catherine and I are both passionate about, as is I think pretty much anyone that shows up on the Daily Huddle. So we want to close out with our tenets and a big thank you to Moniek James. I'll start with our first tenet, which is love. Lead with love. Keep that spirit of love in your heart, and it will absolutely add confidence to your day, in my experience. And also remember that you have much to give. So give of your time, of your talents, of your resources. Give generously. I know it will come back to you. Remember not to take things too seriously. Take time to laugh. There are reports that show that children laugh, I think it's like 20 something times a day, and adults were like 2 or 3 at best. So let's be like children and laugh, get those endorphins flowing. Remember to stress less. Do that by getting more sleep, putting mostly plants and whole foods into your body. And absolutely don't forget to get up off that booty and move your body. We thank you all for coming to the Daily Huddle, and we'll see you next time.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
everybody.
much.
Thank you,
Thank you
Monique.
so much. Thank you, Monique.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Monique. Wonderful day.